Can you guys do me a really big favor really quick? Can you like the video? Because it really does help me out a lot. It's free. You don't have to, but it does really, really help out small content creators like me. And hi to all the new subscribers. Welcome. I'm so glad to have you here. Thank you. We're on our way to 3K. But yeah, I'm Abby with MotorCityNerds. The Ones Who Live, The Walking Dead. Let's talk about it. I'm on OF, I'm on TikTok, I'm on all the things down below. Check them out. We have a good time. Facebook is a disaster pit of despair. Avoid that like the plague. I hate it so much on Facebook. It's horrible. I realized that I never really finished The Walking Dead. And we did watch, why do I keep messing this title up? The Ones Who Live? Okay, so my mom watched The Walking Dead from airing all the way to the end, every Sunday. She stuck with it. I fell off a couple times. Then I went all the way to, and I remember because I just rewatched it, I went all the way to Season 10, Episode 19. I don't know why I went that far and didn't finish, and I wish I would have now because I'm like, man, I should have kept watching that with Mom. I just need to make a comment. If you have not rewatched The Walking Dead in a long time, the pilot is extremely good and well done. Because I was like, how did it grip us overnight? Do you guys remember how big it was? I can't really think of anything that took over overnight. You can say Sailor Moon or Goku or something like that, but it's like, no, those had to travel. Those took time because they had to go overseas and things like that. Rick Grimes took over overnight. We elected him on Halloween night and said, that's our guy. And he's a psycho from the beginning. And I know we joke about that. He legit is. And the funny thing is, the show doesn't try to hide it from us at all in any way, shape, or form. He is a lunatic from the jump. Morgan and his son bashed him over the head with a shovel off rip and asserted dominance. And he knew, I think Morgan in my own head was a psycho before the apocalypse. And Morgan is the heart and soul of that and really holds that pilot together. But it's scary and creepy and it is iconic. It has its own vibe and it has its own feel. And you can tell the director and everybody, it has a thing to it whether or not you like it. But there's slight things they even do in the pilot. And that you can't deny that Rick going into Atlanta on a horse is an iconic. That's an iconic scene. And Don't Open Dead Inside, iconic. And it's genuinely scary and creepy and unnerving. Because I was like, how did we fall for all these characters as hard as we did off rip? This wasn't like streaming. We had to watch it week by week. So I was like, how did Rick get us overnight? So I was rewatching that while The Ones Who Live is on. And I've covered Dead City and I enjoyed it. And I covered Daryl and I enjoyed it. I didn't see the actual ending of The Walking Dead until the other night. I was surprised at how well they wrapped things up. I really was. And we're not going to get fully into that because I want to talk more about The Ones Who Live, but they do wrap it up pretty well. Gabriel, I was pissed at him the entire time, and then like when he locked everybody out when we met him, he lets everybody in. They did little things like that were surprisingly well done. They could have ended it in a way where it's like, no, there is some type of normalcy. There is this, but it's still jacked up, but it is what it is. And they honestly did wrap it up pretty well. I didn't think I would give a shit about Rosita dying, and that was really emotional, and having her sit there and see everybody and go, this is what life could be and it can get better type deal. But I'm glad that I did it, not just because I'm glad I saw the ending now, but also you get to know more about the Commonwealth and what went down with that. And I knew it was a thing. Like, I wasn't unable to keep up with The Ones Who Live or anything like that. I was just like, okay, how did we get here? How did we get to this crazy Third Reichness going on? This is a huge threat. This isn't like a town, or this is a huge thing that they're showing. So I was like, okay. And so when I rewatched it, I was glad I did, because I was like, oh, okay, so we're showing how we've taken big things out or whatever and this and that. And we found out more how they operate a little bit. And so I was glad I did it. Side note, you let Eugene live? That was, cut off that rat tail. Jeez, man. You lost the bolo tie, thank God. The braid needed to go. But even the ending of the series with Michonne and Rick and showing them, and we have Judith saying, the voiceover saying, my mom always told me that, the ones who live, yada, yada, yada. I don't like flashbacks, but I kind of wish they would have shown this in The Ones Who Live, which was at the very end of The Walking Dead. They show Rick like kneeling in the mud, and he's got the 3-circle jacket on and the helicopter, and they're like, stop running, yada, yada. So we learn that Rick has tried to get away several times already. And then we show Michonne packing up and getting ready to go find him. Denai Guerra is one of the most beautiful people on earth. There's just something about her. Also, Michonne, just in general, she easily is in the top 10 coolest characters. It did not matter how crazy the show got. It didn't matter how boring it got. It did not matter what was going on. No matter what, Michonne is cool. She's a cool character. And then you can go, are samurai swords over the top a little bit? And they're like, no, they're not. She's awesome. Her dreads are awesome. Her look is awesome. But Denai Guerrero herself, I think, has a big part to play in that. I know it's based off a character and everything like that, but I'm just saying, like, she makes Michonne even cooler on her own. I think she's one of the most beautiful people working in Hollywood today. I do. I'm going to find Rick. There was weird tension with Jadis, right? Mom kept saying I was making that up, and I was like, no, she's, like, obsessed with Rick. She's, like, into Rick, and because she can't have him romantically, she's trying to possess him, right? There was some type of weird tension going on there. Oh, John Locke's there? We got John Locke there acting all crazy? So we start out with Michonne going to find Rick. I'd like that I was worried we were going to dilly-dally, and then we didn't. I was like, thank God, we got there kind of quick. But I even liked her meeting a new group and seeing all this and meeting someone who could build something to take something down. And whether or not it's heavy-handed or not, which The Walking Dead kind of is, and they kind of spell it out for you, but I don't hate that. And as long as I'm entertained by something, I think people get the wrong idea sometimes, like I'm only going to watch something that's like, oh my God, it's this. No. I want to be entertained too, and sometimes things that are entertaining aren't the greatest thing ever made, but it's good, and it was decent, and I'm having a good time, and that's all that matters. But I liked showing someone that could take something bigger down, or like knew how to do that, kind of like Eugene, but not terrible. Then we're showing Rick in this awful Third Reich Nazi camp, and it's awful. And they don't say what it is, but I'm assuming it's like mustard gas. And when that happened, that was rough, because all these people go, oh yeah, Michonne, we're going to help you. And then they're going, and we're reminded again that, yeah, we do need each other. And yeah, losing each other is hard sometimes, but sometimes that's the right thing to do. Sometimes helping each other out and being there for each other is the right thing to do, even though it gets really hard sometimes. And I liked that. I did. So the mustard gas happens, and that's rough. And Michonne and her little buddy make it out of it okay, but they have to recover, so it takes longer. He helps her take down the helicopter, right? When he got taken out, I was really upset. I liked him. And then it happens. First, Michonne slits a throat, which is great. Love that. And then she's going in, and it's Rick. It's our boy, Ricky G, back on the small screen, living it up. Cut off his own hand, living with a stump. How many people have stumps? Aaron, him, the one chick, everybody's stumping it. Rick is stumping it now. Cut off his own hand. Wild. Michonne and Rick only getting that split time to be like, oh my God, it's you, was really sweet and really great. And I will say this, and you guys might go, what are you saying, Abby? The acting in this is so good. I think they should be nominated. Maybe not win an Emmy. I think they should be nominated. Specifically Denai Guerrero, but I do think Andrew Lincoln should be too, and we'll get to that in a second. So real quick, they're like, oh my God, it's you. And then it's, no, you have to pretend to be rando. I can't act like I know you. Don't say this, don't say that. So we're going to bring you in as a prisoner. Answer like this. That way they don't take you out. Because we find out B's get to stay. A's don't. And A's are a problem. And A's are people that could lead or be a problem or buck the system back. And they get rid of those real quick. B's are ones that they know will fall in line. And so those are the people that can come into their special little city of greatness in the Commonwealth. And Jadis is like straight up Nazi chic. Like that's like straight up. Her haircut, everything. If you don't remember who Jadis is, it is the garbage woman. Remember the garbage woman? Her. So she knows about Michonne. She knows about Rick. She knows these people. And she saved Rick. But so obviously that may be a problem. We also find out Rick's been working up the ranks. I do feel like we dilly-dallied a little bit too much with, okay, we got to get Michonne in. Obviously, Michonne's going to make it. But when they're interrogating her, Rick's like, hey, other friend who's in the military with me, can you please go vouch for this woman? And doesn't tell her that's my wife. I just want her saved, yada, yada, yada. So they get Michonne into the compound. Obviously, they start noticing all the Third Reich Commonwealth workers are realizing this lady ain't nobody to mess with. She might not be who she says she is. And Michonne often walkers at the wall with that pitchfork thing. Awesome. Now, this whole time, we're going, Rick, my boy, we need you to snap. That's what you do. We do not like Farmer Rick. When I say Farmer Rick on the channel in anything, that means we're getting boring. We do not want that. Bite out a throat, get crazy. Farmer Rick is the most boring Rick in season 3 or 4. The prison Farmer Rick, the worst. So boring. We need to push, that's what always happens. We push Rick into a corner, Or somebody says, I'm in charge, and that's the magic words of, oh, not anymore, because Rick's here. But we need him back into a corner, so he snaps and does something crazy. And Rick isn't doing that. He's almost scared. And then he tries to get Michonne out. And he succeeds in this plan. And I thought they were going to take the easy way out. And I thought Michonne was going to dip. And then I was like, what if she does? Oh, is she not? And then she didn't. And I was like, oh my God. Love that. I love that. I love that. Okay, let's go from here. So Michonne don't dip out. And Rick's like, man, because she finds out Rick isn't coming with me. What is going on here? That's not my Rick. Rick would not do that. Rick would do anything he could to get away. I'm not leaving without him. So he sets up this whole elaborate plan for her to get out. And then she gets to the boat to get away. And there's a note from Rick that's like, I'm not coming. And then all of a sudden the next day, she's still there. And Rick's like, what? Why would you do that? And she's like, what? No. And the whole time we have Jadis going, oh, yeah, no, I know this is going to be an issue. And I loved her saying that because if you two are together, nothing's going to stop you guys. I totally forgot. Rick has no idea about RJ. Totally forgot about that. I totally forgot that he does not know about that. So we have Michonne seeing the Commonwealth City and how great it is and how what they're showing her is. And then they're like, oh, look, we have popcorn and all this crap. The whole time she knows this is some bull. This is not right. There's something worse underneath. And the whole time we keep hearing that we're going to find out about the upper meeting from the upper people and how we'll never really understand until they hear it, and that's why there's no use in fighting back against this regime. Because at first there's like strife amongst the military with Rick and his buddy and their boss that Michonne slit his throat and was awesome. But then one of them gets to be in on the know because they get promoted after the throat slit. So and then she's like, oh no, Rick. We have to go with it. And it's like, what? We kind of didn't like this, and now all of a sudden we're really going, okay, what did you learn? So that's the big thing that we need to learn, so they can't just run away back to Alexandria. Also, Jadis is telling them, hey, I got all the info about your shit in my apartment, so if anything happens to me, they're going to find out and they're going to off all your people. Rick really is, like, broken, and I didn't think that they were going to do that to him. And if anybody where are we on a map? Like, where are we? Because we're not in Georgia, right? Where are we? Is picking up all the slack. Now, after the escape plan doesn't go the way Rick planned, he's like, oh, meet me wherever and we'll talk. And this is where Rick screwed up. He starts yelling at Michonne, kind of like, oh, I'm breaking up with you and leaving you so you're safe and for the good of everything. And Michonne's like, shove it. But she doesn't say anything. When she doesn't say anything in the fight, I'm like, oh, man. And that's what I mean about the acting. She's just looking at him like, what? Who are you? Like, who is this person I'm looking at? Like, this is not the man I love. This is not the man I know. Like, almost like you're making me sick and you're also hurting my feelings and I ain't even going to waste my time right now, and it's great. But Rick is saying jacked up stuff. Rick's like, it's broken, it's this, that. I'm like, Rick, shut your mouth. Shut up. We all get what you're doing, but you don't need to be all mean about it. And now, new lady, Rick's friend, who's now fully on board with the Commonwealth regime, she has to lead a mission off campus, off site, passed out of the Commonwealth to go kill a bunch of walkers or something. And she's essentially like testing Michonne. And she's like, oh no, I think you should come and you'd be good for it. So now we have Rick, Michonne, and the little military squad. Well, Michonne really proves herself and upstages this lady who just got put in charge and made her look stupid. So now that lady's all pissed. But the mission goes well. There's a little beeper, like a GPS thing that the military people have to wear, and that's just a side thing that adds to the story, so I'm bringing it up. They get into the helicopter that came to pick them up to go back to the Commonwealth, right? Now, this is where it was nuts. When they jumped out the helicopter, I was like, damn, what? So they hop up out the helicopter, right? Literally. Michonne leaves all her stuff, grabs Rick, and jumps out of the helicopter. And that was a little crazy, but it's The Walking Dead. Daryl's in France. We don't mind it. We find this, I don't know, sustainable living place that has all this stuff, but I liked that they did that because I feel like it was really showing like a couple going at it. And it's like we don't have this other threat of the apocalypse and the end of the world or we're outside or there's walkers or whatever. It's like, no, we're in a normal house, like a normal setting, kind of how the world was prior to all of this, and we are going at it. And it makes it more intimate. So I liked that. This whole time, we're going, when is Rick going to snap, right? And then we really realize with them going at it, no, Rick's kind of giving up. We get it. You think it's for a good cause, but it's like, Rick, what? Okay, no. And like I said, Michonne didn't say nothing when Rick said that jacked up stuff to do the breakup, right? Now they're going to go at it. And she's like, hit your little beeper, call him, tell him to come get us then. The whole time Rick's like, oh man, and we don't know what's going to happen. But when Michonne starts going in on him, was great. It was so good. And the acting between them in that scene, and I literally was like, oh my God, I am getting like emotional watching this, and I didn't think I would. And then we get to the end of a monologue, and I look over at my mom and I go, was that like really good? And she goes, I just didn't breathe through that entire scene. And I'm like, right? I was like, that acting was out of this world. I was like, that was so well done. I was between them both. I was like, that was so good. But Michonne's really letting him have it. And I'll tell you what my mom said, and I'll try and go get a clip of her. But she goes, yeah, do you want to know what? Michonne, you break up with him. He's got you in some Nazi camp. I left my kids for you. I walked here, and now you got me in some Nazi compound. I'm breaking up with you, Rick. What are you talking about? Get it together. And I was like, no. That's exactly right. But the acting in that was so good. And the way she just says to Rick, because I don't like who you are when you're with them. I love that. I love that because it's not some big complicated thing. It's this basic thing. I know you. This is not you. I love you. And I'm going to let you know that. But remember who you are. And at one point, I was like, remember who you're fucking with, Rick? This is Michonne. Because at one point, I was like, we could kill each other. And I don't think, and Michonne ain't nobody to mess with. So I'm like, Rick. But the way she laid into him was great. And that being the reason I loved that. And I could be nitpicky about this, but instead, I really loved this part of it of, no, Rick isn't going to snap. Rick Grimes is not going to Rick Grimes out. Because Michonne is the one person and the one character, and it works. She's the one person in this world and the one character that Rick can be vulnerable with. That Rick can go, I am broken. I do need help getting put back together. Because like I said, this whole theme of even with the people we meet in the beginning and at the end of The Walking Dead, it is, we need each other. We got an actually broken Rick who needs Michonne to bring him back from that and help him. And I like that. There's no other character that he could do that with. Rick's always been like, I got to go a step above to get crazy. I got to do this. I got to do that by any means. Michonne is the only one that he can go, no, I can break down here. And I can lean on her for strength right now. And that's okay. Okay, I'm going to be honest with you guys. I know in the comic, Carl stays around and does a lot more. My friend at the time when this was airing and we were all watching it was obsessed with the comics. And she told me like just enough about things that I could still watch it and be surprised. But I know why a lot of comic book people are not happy with what went on in The Walking Dead, specifically with Carl and other things. I hated Carl. I'm going to be honest. I hated Carl. I got a phone call that he got offed, and that's what made me come back the first time after I stopped watching. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I'm not going to make it up. Carl was the worst. In my opinion, but I get it. Michonne shows him that phone with the drawing on it. And when we flashed back and saw Rick holding hands with young Carl, I was literally getting teary-eyed. I was like, oh my God, I'm crying over Carl. Why? And I was just like, that was really well done. And that brings Rick back. And then he finds out he has RJ and that Judith is okay. And now we're back in business a bit. And we find out the helicopter they jumped out of smashed into the building. Now, I was a little confused. Was the building shaped funny? Because then all of a sudden it's starting to fall. But in it falling, they have a banging scene, which I didn't mind because that's how you use sex correctly, because there is a reason to show it. And it's supposed to be this nice thing of, we could have just banged back there because we're seeing each other again, and of course we're attracted to each other and yada, 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 but it didn't mean anything. And now, after this talk, it means more and it means something. But why when the building is falling? That, me and Mom didn't get that. No. You could still have the building fall, but you could have, I was just like, I don't think I'd be doing that if the building was collapsing, that's all. Now remember that Rick is still panicking about they're going to find Alexandria. They're going to hurt it. And then remember, Michonne was in that mustard gas drop, so she knows what will probably happen to all her friends, family, and people. Rick is very aware. Keep saying, no, we do have to go back. We have to figure out how to take it down from the inside. And Michonne's like, no, we need to get to our people and our kids and tell them what's going on. We need to get to them. We'll make it through this as long as we are together. And my thing was this. How come nobody said, in this world of the end, where there's already borders are kind of a made-up thing, you know what I mean? And I'm pretty sure in this world they are non-existent. But no matter what, people like the Commonwealth, and if you want to apply this to the real world, you can. But people like that and regimes like that don't stop at a border. They don't stop after getting one town or one city or one state. They're going to come no matter what. Eventually that will happen. That's what regimes like that do. So I was waiting for somebody to say that and be like, Rick, you do realize no matter what, they're going to come for us. No matter what. We got to do something. And I did like that. We run into some scumbags. We run into Jadis. She gets shot, yada, yada, yada. But they're still panicking about that because they're like, if Jadis dies, we don't know where this information that she has on us and our people in Alexandria is at. We don't know how to find it. But she does give up information. But I did really like how they brought back Rick telling her, I'm going to kill you. I'm going to shoot you in the head. And then he does. It's a different kind of way, but he does. And her meeting up with Gabriel in the woods. I get it. I understand it. I could have done without it. But once again, I need a friend. I need someone who cares about me. We need each other. That's important. I just was like, I'm going to go to the bathroom during this. I'm being honest. But anyway, now it's Rick and Michonne on the road. And that was fun for a bit. But then they realized, no, we do have to go back. We have to go back. We have to get this information that she had in her apartment. And we have to let you, Rick, take the meeting to find out what is it that's so big that we can never stop, that people are falling in line with this crazy regime. Michonne agrees to that. Rick agrees to that. I love the double cross they did. That was great. Okay, so remember we got to go up against John Locke, right? We're going back to the Commonwealth. We bring up a bunch of BS. We're like, oh yeah, no, that crashed, and then Jay just got killed, and we're just back. And it worked, though. It all worked. There wasn't like a plot hole. It was just, here we go. We're back in the Commonwealth. Rick's going to go take the special meeting, and Michonne is going to go find the stuff. I did like that they showed these sculptures again with Jadis, and I did like her bringing up, like, I wish I would have stayed an artist. But also, I kind of don't feel bad for you because you joined a Nazi regime. You don't get to redeem yourself after that. You don't. You don't. I don't care if you didn't shoot Gabriel. You don't. You don't. Point blank, period. I don't know who needs to hear that, but we don't go, oh, poor Nazi. Oh, poor fascist. We don't do that. We go, you can get to stepping. We're not tolerating that. But we find the Alexandria note. We find all the info. Rick goes to the special meeting, okay? And now we're really about to find stuff out, right? Michonne also gets into the meeting type deal, or like the inductory thing, and she's all dressed up like the military stuff. And essentially it's, we will take all the children. We'll brainwash them. They will be the people that we bring up in our new society, and the rest of you are going to get offed. Long story short, that's what she's seeing and hearing, and she's like, no, that's not happening. While Michonne's hearing all this craziness, right, Rick and John Locke are talking. And let me tell you guys, I liked it. I liked the way they handled everything. When he kept bringing up the sword stuff, and then we were showing Michonne's, and throughout it, Michonne has not had her swords and then gets them back, and we get Crazy Rick. We get Crazy Rick back, and he's like, yeah, the sword that takes away life is the one that gives it, and guess what? I control it. Goodbye. You're dead. I don't care. But he even says, I was lost. I didn't lose anybody. I didn't lose my son in this. I lost myself. He brought me back. My wife brought me back. You're dead now. Welcome to Rick Grimes Town. I run this. And it was great, and we loved it. I could have done without the heavy-handed showing me the flashbacks and stuff, but I didn't mind it. But John Locke does tell him a bunch of craziness where he's like, we're going to burn and kill and do whatever we have to bring back society the way we want it to be. We're going to take everything out to rebuild if we have to. And Rick's like, not on my watch, because I'm the arbiter of death, and I'm the only one since the beginning, John Locke. I thought you knew this. I'm Rick Grimes. I run this. I choose who lives and dies. Remember when I had questions? That's laughable now. I don't even remember what they were. Rick, questions. People have free will? I didn't know. But we love him, because we were like, we need this Rick Grimes. But yeah, no, remember when he had questions? And it was like, how well guarded are your people and all of your supplies? Where are they located? And, oh, just kidding. I don't have questions. Goodbye. I already had my mind made up. That's Rick Grimes talk. Free will. Questions. Okay, Rick. And Rick really is crazy. He's like, me and my people are coming in to overpower you. We are going to take everything you have and destroy your way of life. We know that your leader was the problem, and none of you really know what's going on. You can either come with us, the good guys, and submit to my will, or try and make it on your own now that I've destroyed your way of life. We're going to act like there's a choice. God, I love Rick. He's great. And then we got the reunion. And I was getting a little misty-eyed, except for the fact that, let RJ talk. I mean, I get he'd probably be nervous, but Rick, well, I mean, I liked him and Judith seeing each other. I did. I loved the reunion. I loved seeing it. I loved how they set it in this big, green, lush, alive setting. I liked it a lot. I loved seeing this family together. We don't get that in The Walking Dead, and I did. I really liked it. But RJ stayed in there like a deer in the headlights, and I never hate on child actors because they're kids. And it's not like the kid did horrible or something. He ain't no Carl. And not like his acting was bad, but I'm like, geez, I'm getting sick of you, Carl. A few times, and Rick finally acknowledges him. I was like, oh my God, this is so sweet, and I loved it, but we all know it's going to come crashing down, right? And I didn't see the Carol trailer yet. I think they said there was a sneak peek after, but I didn't watch it. Me and Mom were too tired and went to bed. But what is going to oppose this? I did. I liked this. I liked Dead City. It was crazy, but creative, and that's what I mean here. This is all going to have to come back together, right? Because we have Negan in New York with all that craziness, but there's the power source and everything. Then we had the black guy who was chasing them, who worked for, was it the Commonwealth or was it something else? And he found out the government he was working for was shifty. So I'm like, what do they have? And then Daryl's in France with someone they're calling the Messiah. So is he going to be able to rally something to go down? Or what? I don't know. But I'm genuinely, intrigued. And I wasn't for a long time. There was a long period of The Walking Dead that was literally just walking. And this is not doing that. And I think making them each 6 episodes is smart. And is it kind of crazy? Yeah. Have I been having a lot of fun watching them? Yeah. Are they entertaining? Yeah. And I definitely think this was the best one story-wise. And I loved seeing Rick come back. I love that they gave Andrew Lincoln and Denai Guerra executive producer positions. But I mean, if you liked The Walking Dead, I highly suggest rewatching it. I really, really do. I think people forget it is a little out there. It is a little crazy, but it's pretty well done in the beginning. It really is. But I also didn't realize, I think the first season was 8 episodes or 10 episodes, and then we're just getting 24. That's insane. That's crazy. That's where you guys, I'm like, come on, AMC, you're really ringing this for all it's worth, because if you would have condensed it, you could have had something really great on your hands. But not only that, the problem The Walking Dead always had was, because I knew this from my friend, they went to real world. And it is the real world and everything like that, but the way, my friend, for example, explained King Ezekiel to me, she was like, okay, imagine the Robert Baratheon from Game of Thrones, my favorite character, of this world, except not the way he acts, but his strength, his size. He's huge. He's not super strength like Superman, but it's he's stronger than the average person. And that's why he could pick up a tiger and save it. That's why he has it on a chain. That's why that's a whole thing. So it's not comic booky Superman, but it's comic booky. Some people kind of have a little bit more wiggle room here. And because the show, I feel went so real world with it, when things like that started happening, people were like, what the shit is going on here? And I think it suffered from that. I do. I think that was part of it. And also AMC going, let's have 24 episodes in a season. Let's have 18. Let's have a crazy amount. When they were more condensed, it was better. Except for everybody is mean to Dale. Everybody is screaming in that man's face about how much they hate him and want to beat him up and kill him. Everybody in the first 2 seasons. T-Dog is great and pivotal, and they just threw him away. But Rick is yelling at him a lot to do things. He's like, T-Dog, get the car. T-Dog, get the shotgun. T-Dog. And T-Dog every time is like, sure, Rick. And only one time T-Dog tries to sit down and have a cig, and Dale and Rick start bugging him. And I'm like, dude, just let him have his cig. T-Dog walked away from you guys around the RV to smoke that cig, and you are bothering him. And you guys threw that character away, and he was great. I forgot how much I liked T-Dog. Andrea's nuts. Andrea's psychotic. I'm just saying, if you want to rewatch The Walking Dead, you'll have a good time. It's good. And then it gets crazy, and then it gets boring, and then it gets good again. But it's always entertaining. I will say that. And sometimes you just want to sit back and be entertained. And I was rewatching The Walking Dead, and I have enjoyed all of these spin-offs, but I really enjoyed this one. For the first time in years, I'm going, wow, I really want to see where they go with this. I really do. I liked it. I've liked all these spin-offs. But I thought this was really well done. I thought this was beautifully done. And I feel like you don't have to watch The Walking Dead to watch this. But if you haven't seen the ending, or you haven't seen the ending in a minute, I suggest just running through the final episode of The Walking Dead. If you're feeling froggy, but you don't have to. I do feel like you could watch this one out of all of them, separate, and not seen any of the other ones, and enjoy it. Or at least, actually care about the characters, you know? I'm Abby with Motor City Nerds. I have an Alien Romulus reaction up. I have a bunch of stuff up. I got my interview with the vampire stuff up. There's a bunch of stuff up on the channel. So hi to all new subscribers. Welcome. And yeah, if you liked this, let me know. If you hated it, let me know. Do you think you could survive a zombie apocalypse? Do you remember when Rick stabbed his best friend to death? Do you remember when Rick was wearing a tall tee? That happened. And we all know it's because it didn't have a budget yet. But I'm like, Rick walking around in this white tee that he looks like he got from the liquor store. Peak Walking Dead. Oh my God, and Laurie's the worst. Shane is a snake in the grass, but we're not going to get into that right now. Maybe we'll do a separate video on just The Walking Dead in general, or maybe we'll do like a tier list or something. But oh my God, guys. It's really had a run. It really has. And if you really think back, do you guys remember, no matter what, even if people didn't continue to, everybody and their grandma watched that first episode at minimum. That was so smart what AMC did when The Walking Dead aired. They waited on Halloween night, was it 2010? And had it on at like 9 or 10. So it was like everybody was coming home, like kids are coming home and everybody's done trick-or-treating and cuddling up. And it's like, oh, what are we going to do? Watch that zombie show. And they marketed that so well. And that's what I mean. I'm not kidding. Overnight, if you're not old enough to know this, overnight, Rick Grimes took over. I know we joke about the dictatorship, but I'm telling you, like a Caesar, we all just said, this is our dude. We elect him. We do not care what he does. And that's what I mean. The show did not hide it. I know we joke and stuff, but I'm like, go back and watch it. That's the crazy part. They never hide his insanity or his power tripping. They never hide it from us at all. We just were agreeing every Sunday night with him. We were just like, this is our guy. But the funny thing is, not funny, but normally in a show or a movie, they will start to depict somebody in a different light if they do crazy things. But not Rick. He is depicted as the hero, the cowboy, our true blue guy, through and through, no matter what. We never put him in a villain or anti-hero light whatsoever in The Walking Dead. And he is like running around in communities covered in people's blood after being there for 4 hours, waving a gun around like everyone's gonna effing listen to me. And it's like, Rick, you just got here. You are covered in somebody else's blood. None of the other people living here know what's going on. And you're screaming that you're in charge now. And we all said, that's our guy. We agree with that. And I still do. And we still do. You can keep showing it to me and keep saying it. But I love him and we're going to support it. Like I said, we elected him Halloween night.